Officer Marcus Webb had been patrolling the streets of Riverside County for 11 years, and he thought he'd seen it all. The California sun beat down on his patrol car as he made his way through the suburban neighborhoods on that Tuesday afternoon in late September. Kids were back in school, the summer heat was finally breaking, and the day had been mercifully quiet, just a few routine stops, some paperwork, and the usual radio chatter. Marcus had joined the force right out of college, following in his father's footsteps. His dad had been a cop for 30 years in Detroit, and Marcus had grown up listening to stories about the job, the good, the bad, and everything in between. He'd learned early that being a police officer wasn't just about enforcing the law, it was about being part of the community, about seeing people at their worst and sometimes, if you were lucky, at their best. As he turned onto Maple Street, a quiet residential area lined with modest single-family homes and well-maintained lawns, something caught his eye. A small white toy car, an electric ride-on vehicle designed for kids, was cruising down the sidewalk at what Marcus estimated to be about 3 miles per hour. Behind the wheel sat a little boy who couldn't have been more than 5 years old, wearing a bicycle helmet that was slightly too big for him, a bright red jacket, and the most serious expression Marcus had ever seen on a child's face. The boy's tiny hands gripped the steering wheel with intense concentration as he navigated the sidewalk, carefully avoiding cracks and leaves. Marcus felt a smile tugging at his lips, but he maintained his composure. The scene was too perfect to pass up. He flipped on his lights, not the full sirens, just the flashers, and pulled up slowly behind the miniature vehicle. The little boy's eyes went wide as saucers when he spotted the flashing lights in his rearview mirror. Marcus could see the exact moment the child's expression changed from confident driver to startled citizen. The toy car came to an abrupt stop, and the boy sat frozen, his small hands still clutching the wheel. Marcus stepped out of his patrol car, adjusting his utility belt and putting on his most official expression. He approached the driver's side of the tiny Audi, noting the license plate that read, CXJ, in child-sized letters. The boy looked up at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity, his brown eyes enormous beneath the rim of his helmet. License and registration, please, Marcus said in his most authoritative voice, though he could barely keep a straight face. The little boy blinked twice, then looked around the interior of his toy car as if searching for the requested documents. I don't have those, he stammered, his voice small and uncertain. You don't have a license? Marcus asked, crouching down to be at eye level with the child. Do you know why I pulled you over today? The boy shook his head vigorously, his helmet bobbing with the movement. No, sir. Well, I clocked you doing 3 in a 2-mile-per-hour zone, Marcus said seriously. That's pretty reckless driving. And I noticed you failed to signal back there when you veered around that pinecone. The boy's face crumpled, and for a moment Marcus worried he might cry. But then the child's mother appeared, hurrying down the front steps of a nearby house with a phone in her hand and a smile on her face. She was a woman in her early 30s with kind eyes and an expression that showed she'd been watching the whole exchange. Officer, I'm so sorry, she called out, though her grin betrayed her amusement. Is my son in trouble? Marcus stood up and touched the brim of his cap politely. Ma'am, I'm afraid we have a serious speeding violation here. I'm going to have to issue a warning. He turned back to the boy. What's your name, young man? Dylan, the boy whispered, gaining a bit of confidence now that his mother was present. Dylan Mitchell. Well, Dylan Mitchell, I'm Officer Webb. Now, normally this kind of violation would result in a ticket, but I'm willing to let you off with a warning this time. However, there are conditions. Dylan nodded eagerly, relief flooding his small features. Yes, sir. Anything. Marcus pretended to consult his ticket book. First, you need to promise me you'll always wear that helmet when you're driving. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Dylan practically shouted. Second, you need to obey all traffic signs, even the imaginary ones. That means stopping at the end of the driveway, looking both ways, and using your turn signals. Got it. Got it. And third. Marcus paused for dramatic effect. You need to give me your biggest high five to seal the deal. Dylan's face broke into a radiant smile, and he extended his small hand. Marcus met it with his own, and they completed what was possibly the most important high five of Dylan's young life. Sarah Mitchell, Dylan's mother, had been recording the entire interaction on her phone, tears of laughter streaming down her face. Thank you, officer, Sarah said warmly. This absolutely made his day. He's been driving that thing up and down the sidewalk all afternoon, pretending to be a race car driver. Marcus smiled. He's a natural. Handles that vehicle better than some of the teenagers have pulled over. He turned back to Dylan. You stay safe out here, okay buddy? And remember, speed limits exist for a reason. I will, Officer Webb. Dylan promised, already revving his tiny engine, ready to continue his journey at a more law-abiding pace. As Marcus walked back to his patrol car, he heard Sarah call out, Officer. Would you mind taking a quick photo with Dylan? He'd love to show his dad when he gets home from work. Marcus glanced at his watch. He had nowhere urgent to be, and something about this family felt special. Sure, I'd be happy to. They posed together, Dylan in his toy car, Marcus kneeling beside him with one hand on the tiny roof, both of them grinning at the camera. After Sarah snapped several photos, she lowered her phone and looked at Marcus with an expression that had shifted from amusement to something deeper. Can I tell you something, Officer Webb? She asked quietly, stepping a bit away from Dylan, who was busy adjusting his mirrors. Of course. Dylan's father, my husband James, is a firefighter. He's been on a really difficult rotation lately. They've been dealing with those wildfires up north, and he's been gone for almost 3 weeks. Dylan misses him terribly. Her voice wavered slightly. This morning, Dylan woke up crying because James wasn't here to see him drive his new car. This little interaction you just had with him, you have no idea what it means. You gave him a story he's going to tell everyone. You made him feel important and brave. Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. I was just having a bit of fun, ma'am. Maybe to you, Sarah said, her eyes glistening. But to a 5-year-old who misses his dad. This was everything.